I'm Jake, a 32-year-old guy working in the medical field. I live in a quiet suburb just outside a major U.S. city. Life had been pretty good. I was in a relationship with Emily, who's 28 and lived in the city center. We met a few years ago, and things moved quickly between us. We were that couple that spent weekends exploring new places, trying out new restaurants, and just enjoying each other's company. At least, that's how it used to be. A few weeks ago, I noticed something odd. Emily had deactivated her Instagram without mentioning it to me. She used to be quite active on social media, posting pictures from our weekends and little updates about her day. So, naturally, I asked her about it the next time we were together. "Hey, I saw that your Instagram is gone. What happened?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Emily looked up from her phone, a flicker of something I couldn't quite read crossing her face. "Oh, that. I've been getting harassed by Carl, Mike's friend. It was just getting too much, so I decided to deactivate it for a while." "Carl? That guy from your colleague's party?" I replied, feeling a knot of worry tighten in my stomach. "What's he been doing?" "He's been sending me weird messages, and it just got out of hand," she said, shrugging as if it was no big deal. I wanted to trust her. I mean, why wouldn't I? But something about the whole situation didn't sit right with me. I had met Carl once at a party, and while he did seem a bit off, Emily's sudden decision to deactivate her entire account felt extreme. Still, I brushed it off, telling myself that maybe I was just being paranoid. A couple of weeks later, Emily's financial situation took a downturn. She had to move back to her hometown to save some money. The distance started to show. She became less responsive, and our conversations felt more like chores than genuine catch-ups. I missed her, but I was also starting to feel uneasy about how distant she had become. One weekend, Emily came over to visit. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and I was looking forward to spending some quality time together. While she was taking a bath, her phone, which was on the bedside table, kept buzzing with notifications. I glanced at the screen out of habit and saw multiple messages from Carl. My heart started pounding. This was the same Carl who had supposedly been harassing her. I picked up the phone, feeling a mix of guilt and desperation. What I found on her screen confirmed my worst fears. There were explicit texts and photos exchanged between Emily and Carl. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the messages, each one a dagger to my heart. When Emily came out of the bathroom, I confronted her. "Emily, what the hell is this?" I asked, holding up her phone with the messages open. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, she looked genuinely scared. "Jake, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That you've been lying to me this whole time. That you didn't deactivate your Instagram because of harassment, but because you were blocking me while you carried on with him." My voice was rising, fueled by a mix of anger and betrayal. "It's not what it looks like," she said weakly. "They're old messages." "Old messages?" I interrupted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "These are from last night, Emily. How stupid do you think I am?" She didn't have an answer. Instead, she just stood there, silent, as I realized the depth of her betrayal. The Emily I thought I knew was gone, replaced by someone who didn't seem to care about the hurt she'd caused. I left the room, feeling a mix of heartbreak and anger. I knew I couldn't stay in this relationship. Trust was shattered, and there was no going back. As I sat alone in my living room that night, I realized I had to move on, no matter how painful it was. I decided to cut all ties with Emily and focus on healing myself. It wasn't going to be easy, but I knew it was the right thing to do. This is just the beginning of my story, and I hope sharing it here helps anyone going through something similar. Thanks for listening. Picking up from where I left off, the night I discovered Emily's affair was rough. I didn't get much sleep, my mind racing with questions and what-ifs. The next morning, I felt like a zombie, but I knew I had to face the day and figure out my next steps. After Emily left, I decided to take a walk to clear my head. The neighborhood was quiet, the kind of suburban peace that usually calmed me, but today just felt eerie. As I walked, I kept replaying the confrontation in my head. How could I have missed the signs? Had I been too trusting, too naive? Later that day, I met up with my friend Matt for coffee. Matt and I have been friends since college, and he's always been my go-to guy for advice. "Jake, you look like hell. What happened?" Matt asked as soon as he saw me. I sighed and took a sip of my coffee, the warmth doing little to soothe the cold knot in my stomach. "It's Emily. She's been cheating on me with this guy Carl. I found messages on her phone last night." "Damn, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. Have you talked to her since?" Matt asked, his face a mix of sympathy and anger. "No, I don't see the point. She lied to me," Matt said. "She deactivated her Instagram because Carl was harassing her, but it was just a cover for her affair." Matt shook his head. "That's messed up. You deserve better than that. What are you going to do now?" "I don't know. I'm still processing it all. I think I need to cut her out completely, but it's hard. We have so many mutual friends, and I don't want to deal with the drama." "Listen, Jake," Matt said, leaning forward, "you need to do what's best for you. If that means cutting ties, then do it. True friends will understand and support you." His words hit home. I knew he was right, but it didn't make the decision any easier. I spent the next few days in a fog, going through the motions at work and trying to distract myself with anything that could take my mind off Emily. One evening, I got a text from one of our mutual friends, Sarah. She suggested we all get together to talk things out, implying that maybe there was some way to salvage the relationship. I knew she meant well, but the thought of sitting down with Emily and pretending everything could be fixed made me feel sick. "Sarah, I appreciate the thought, but I'm done with Emily," I replied. "She lied to me, and there's no coming back from that. I need to move on." "Jake, are you sure? Sometimes things aren't as clear-cut as they seem," she responded, clearly trying to be diplomatic. "They are this time. Thanks for understanding," I texted back, ending the conversation. The next morning, I woke up feeling a little clearer. I decided it was time to take control and start moving forward. I blocked Emily on all social media and deleted her number from my phone. It felt drastic, but necessary. I also sent a group message to our mutual friends, explaining that I needed space and asking them to respect my decision to cut ties with Emily. Some friends were supportive, others tried to mediate, but I stayed firm. I had to prioritize my own well-being. Slowly, the fog began to lift. I started going to the gym more, picked up a couple of new hobbies, and threw myself into my work. A few weeks later, I ran into Carl at a local bar. My initial reaction was anger, but I realized confronting him wouldn't change anything. Instead, I turned and walked out, feeling a strange sense of relief. I was done with the drama. Life started to feel normal again. I was rediscovering who I was outside of my relationship with Emily. It wasn't easy, but I was learning to trust myself and my instincts again. I knew I had a long way to go, but for the first time in weeks, I felt hopeful. After blocking Emily and starting to put my life back together, I thought I was in the clear. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. It had been about a month since the breakup, and I was beginning to feel like myself again. One evening, as I was heading home from the gym, I got a call from a mutual friend, Alex. He sounded concerned and insisted we meet up for a drink. I wasn't in the mood for more drama, but I agreed to meet him at our usual bar. When I walked in, Alex was already there, nursing a beer. He looked up as I approached and motioned for me to sit. "Hey, Jake. Thanks for coming," Alex said, looking a bit uneasy. "What's up, man?" I asked, trying to keep my tone casual. "It's about Emily. She reached out to me, said she really needs to talk to you," he said, watching my reaction carefully. I sighed, feeling a mix of frustration and fatigue. "Alex, I've moved on. I don't want to reopen that chapter." "I get it, but she's really struggling. Financially, she's in a bad place, and she mentioned needing help. She asked me to talk to you," Alex explained, clearly caught in the middle. "Look, I feel for her, but I can't help her. She made her choices, and now she has to deal with the consequences," I replied firmly. Alex nodded, understanding my position, but still looking troubled. "I get it, Jake. Just thought you should know." She seemed pretty desperate. That conversation left me feeling uneasy. I knew Emily had financial struggles, but I couldn't be her safety net anymore. I decided to focus on myself and let things be. A week later, I got an unexpected message from Emily. Against my better judgment, I read it. "Jake, I'm really sorry for everything. I know I hurt you, but I'm in a tough spot right now. Could we please talk? I need your help," she wrote. I stared at the message for a while, debating whether to respond. Finally, I decided it was best to stick to my boundaries. I deleted the message and blocked her number. It felt harsh, but necessary for my own well-being. Around the same time, I was dealing with another issue at work. We had a new supervisor, Dr. Roberts, who was making changes left and right. One day, he called me into his office to discuss my workload. "Jake, I've noticed you've been taking on a lot lately. Are you sure you can handle it?" Dr. Roberts asked, his tone more critical than concerned. "I've been managing just fine, Dr. Roberts. I know my limits," I replied, trying to stay professional. "Well, some of your colleagues have mentioned you seem distracted. I need to know you're fully focused here," he said, raising an eyebrow. "I assure you, my personal life isn't affecting my work. I'm committed to my job," I said firmly. Leaving his office, I felt a mix of anger and determination. It was another reminder that I needed to keep my focus and not let my personal issues bleed into my professional life. That evening, I met up with Matt again to blow off some steam. We grabbed a couple of beers and sat down to talk. "Dr. Roberts is really on my case," I said, taking a swig of my drink. "He thinks I'm distracted because of everything with Emily. Sounds like he's just looking for an excuse to micromanage," Matt replied. "Don't let him get to you. You're doing fine." "Thanks, man. I just need to keep my head down and prove him wrong," I said, feeling a bit better after our talk. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into work, determined to show Dr. Roberts that I was fully capable. I also made an effort to reconnect with friends and family, surrounding myself with positive influences. One evening, as I was heading home, I ran into Sarah, the mutual friend who had tried to mediate before. "Hey, Jake, how've you been?" she asked, looking genuinely concerned. "Hey, Sarah. I've been good, thanks. How about you?" I replied, keeping the conversation light. "I'm good. Just wanted to check in and see how you're holding up. Emily told me she reached out to you," she said, watching my reaction. "She did. I didn't respond. I need to move on, and talking to her won't help either of us," I explained. "I understand. Just know we're all here for you, whatever you need," Sarah said kindly. "Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it," I said, feeling grateful for the support. As I walked away, I realized how much I valued the people who stood by me through all this. It wasn't easy, but I was starting to see a path forward. I was learning to trust myself again, and with every step, I felt a bit stronger. I've been trying to rebuild my life and find a sense of normalcy again. The past few months have been a roller coaster, but I'm slowly finding my footing. One of the biggest challenges I've faced recently has been finding a new routine. After the breakup, I threw myself into work and the gym, but that only took me so far. I realized I needed more balance in my life, something beyond just working out and clocking in hours at the hospital. I started exploring new hobbies. I took up cooking, which was a disaster at first, but gradually I got better. One Saturday afternoon, I decided to invite Matt over for dinner to show off my newfound skills. "Hey, man, thanks for coming over," I said as Matt walked into my apartment. "No problem, Jake. I've been looking forward to this." "What's on the menu?" Matt asked, grinning. "Just a simple stir-fry. Nothing too fancy," I replied, trying to hide my nervousness. As we sat down to eat, I felt a sense of accomplishment. It wasn't just about the food, it was about taking control of my life again, one small step at a time. "This is really good, Jake. You've come a long way from burning toast," Matt said, laughing. "Thanks, man. I'm trying to find new things to keep me busy," I replied, feeling a bit more relaxed. "You're doing great. It's good to see you moving forward," Matt said, clinking his glass against mine. As the weeks went by, I continued to focus on myself. Work was still demanding, but I found that having a balanced life outside of it made a big difference. Dr. Roberts seemed to notice the change, too. "Jake, I've seen an improvement in your focus and performance. Keep it up," Dr. Roberts said during a brief meeting. "Thanks, Dr. Roberts. I've been working on balancing things better," I replied, appreciating the acknowledgement. One evening, while I was cooking dinner, I got a call from my sister Claire. We hadn't spoken much since everything happened with Emily, and it was good to hear her voice. "Hey, big bro. How are you holding up?" Claire asked, her tone warm and concerned. "I'm doing better, Claire. Just taking things one day at a time," I said, stirring the pot on the stove. "I'm glad to hear that. Mom and Dad were worried about you," she replied. "Tell them I'm okay. I'm actually starting to enjoy cooking," I said with a chuckle. "Cooking? Who are you, and what have you done with my brother?" Claire teased. "I know, right? It's been a good distraction though," I said, smiling. "Well, I'm proud of you. And hey, if you ever need to talk, I'm here," Claire said. "Thanks, Claire. That means a lot," I replied, feeling a warmth that hadn't been there in a while. After the call, I sat down to eat alone, but for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel lonely. I felt content. A few days later, I ran into Sarah at a local coffee shop. We hadn't talked much since I cut ties with Emily, and I was curious about how she was doing. "Hey Sarah, how've you been?" I asked, as we both waited for our orders. "Hey Jake, I've been good. It's been a crazy few months," she replied, smiling. "Yeah, tell me about it," I said, laughing. "I heard you've been doing well though. Matt mentioned your newfound cooking skills," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Word gets around, huh?" "Yeah, it's been a nice change," I replied. "I'm glad to hear that. We should catch up sometime," Sarah suggested. "Sounds good. Let's plan something soon," I said, genuinely looking forward to it. As I walked out of the coffee shop, I felt a sense of optimism. Life was far from perfect, but I was learning to navigate the ups and downs. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities for growth. After everything that happened with Emily, the support from friends, and finding new passions, I finally found my footing. A significant turning point came about a month ago. I was at work, and Dr. Roberts called me into his office again. I was a bit apprehensive, but I'd been giving my best, and hoped it showed. "Jake, I wanted to commend you on your recent performance," Dr. Roberts said, surprising me. "You've shown remarkable improvement and dedication. Keep it up." "Thanks, Dr. Roberts. That means a lot," I replied, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. That recognition solidified my determination to keep pushing forward. Outside of work, I continued to enjoy cooking and even started a small garden on my balcony. It was therapeutic, watching things grow and thrive. One Saturday, Matt and Sarah came over for a BBQ. We sat on the balcony, enjoying the fruits of my labor, literally. "This is amazing, Jake," Sarah said, taking a bite of grilled veggies from my garden. "Yeah, man, you've outdone yourself," Matt added, raising his beer in a toast. "Thanks, guys. It feels good to have something to nurture," I replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. As we chatted and laughed, I realized how far I'd come. The pain from Emily's betrayal was still there, but it no longer defined me. I had grown stronger and learned to value myself more. A few days later, I received a surprising email from Emily. She apologized for everything and explained that she was moving to a different city for a fresh start. She didn't ask for anything, just wanted to make amends. I didn't respond, but I felt a sense of closure. She was starting over, and so was I. The real test of my newfound resilience came at work. We had a critical project that required long hours and teamwork. In the past, I might have let personal issues cloud my focus, but this time, I was all in. One evening, as we were wrapping up, Dr. Roberts approached me. "Jake, great work today. I'm proud of the progress you've made," he said, giving me a rare smile. "Thanks, Dr. Roberts. I appreciate it," I replied, feeling genuinely proud of myself. As I walked out of the hospital, I realized that I'd found a new balance. My life was no longer about escaping pain, but embracing new opportunities and challenges. I was building a future I could be proud of. If you're going through something similar, know that it gets better. Surround yourself with good people, find new passions, and most importantly, believe in your worth. If you found the story interesting, please subscribe to the channel, press the bell, and don't forget to give us a like. Thanks for watching. See you all soon.